Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. In today's stories, am I the idiot for not letting mother-in-law and father-in-law and brother-in-law stay in our 800 square feet apartment? Thanks for reading, here's the gist. My 24 female, husband's 26 male, family wanted to come visit us in California. They are Canadian, and he doesn't get to see them much. It's been almost about a year since he's seen his family. They said that they'd want to come visit Saturday through Sunday sometime in September. We said yes, and that we're okay with them staying with us in our 2-bedroom apartment for 2 days. I was initially uncomfortable with this though. Both me and my husband are introverts, and we both felt like they'd need a hotel, but we begrudgingly accepted that they could stay. It was only 2 days, right? Wrong. His mom meant Saturday to the next Sunday. All of us, 5 people and 2 cats, all crammed into our 2-bedroom apartment. The other bedroom is an office, and our bedroom is very small. We both work from home, and they'd be coming in a week where we wouldn't be able to take off from work, so we'd have to sacrifice our personal time to work, if we'd even get any in an apartment full of 5 people. Or we'd have to work while 3 other people are in our apartment for 8 hours, trying to get us to go out. We both were appalled that they'd even think that was okay. We said no, and that they'd have to stay in a hotel if they want to visit. There's a hotel even right down the street, less than a minute drive away, that we offered to pay for them to stay in so that we all had a bit more of a comfortable time. His mom was furious at this. She said that we're a family and your brother always hosts us, why can't you? She literally will not come if we don't let her stay in our apartment. We told her about the hotel down the street, and nope. She still insists on 5 people being inside this damn apartment for more than a week. I literally cannot do that. My husband cannot do that. We both freaked out. We love being alone together, and we would need time alone in our own apartment. She made a big fuss about it, saying she's hurt, and then she brings in the family dog and mentions the dog had another seizure during this argument, as if she's blaming us for that. Saying that this isn't what she expected when they immigrated to Canada. His family is Hungarian and he's first gen. She won't accept our conditions at all, and so I texted her and I said, if you aren't going to compromise on this one thing, then just as you said earlier, you will not be coming, I understand. No reply. I just have got to know if I'm the a-hole somehow. I feel like I just want to set boundaries, but should I let them stay? Am I the idiot? Too long, didn't read. My husband's family wants to stay in our 800 square feet apartment to visit. We both said no, offered to pay for a hotel less than a minute away, and his mother said that if she can't stay in our apartment they aren't coming. I essentially said okay then, you aren't. And now his mom is viewing me as some kind of villain. Am I the idiot? Edit, should have elaborated. Saturday the next Sunday, it's more than a week's time. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. 1. Not letting them stay with us. I know some families stay in small apartments all the time, maybe I'm being unreasonable? 2. My husband hasn't seen his family in almost a year. I feel like I'm keeping him away from his family, even if we're both deciding this. Maybe I should let them stay with us just so that he can see them again? Yeah, I don't think you're the idiot OP, neither you nor your husband. You gave your in-laws a very acceptable solution, but they still decided to refuse anyway. I don't know if they don't feel comfortable with you paying for their accommodations, or if, to them, you not letting them stay in your apartment is like they're not welcome in your home and life. It seems they don't understand that you're also thinking about their comfort, not just yours. But if the only way for them to visit you, and their son, is to stay at your house, I'm sorry, but that's their choice, or rather, mother-in-law's, so apparently they won't visit. And even if you had a bigger place, you have every right to refuse them to stay there, it's your home. And for God's sake, if you really need to work during the week they're visiting, do not let them stay in your apartment. Put your foot down. You won't be able to work, especially since they'll be sleeping in the room you're supposed to be working. Also, if they end up visiting, I recommend you, or at least their son, to take a leave of work during this period, because they will definitely expect you to spend time with them, whether at home or out and about. So yeah, not the idiot. What do you guys think of this situation? Do you think the same as OP? Would you do the same with your in-laws? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Not the idiot. Why are you communicating with your mother-in-law instead of your husband though? He tried to talk to her initially about it, but she just doesn't take him seriously. I had to set up the boundary a bit and reiterate our conditions, but it seems all for nothing, because she still insists on this anyway. Not the idiot since you offered to pay for the hotel. How many bathrooms do you have? If it's one, not the idiot times 2. We have one bathroom, we calculated, and it would take 2 hours for everyone to shower and settle down at the end of the day. Not the idiot. Other option, leave them in the apartment and you and hubby enjoy vacation at the hotel. Mother-in-law said she won't come if she can't stay in the apartment. She didn't say you had to be with them. Hope you at least smiled at this. Not the idiot. Don't forget to send her photos of the hotel breakfast and pool. Not the idiot, you were so gracious by offering to even pay for the entire week's stay at the hotel. I wouldn't have even offered that much. You're allowed to not have guests sleep over and you're not an idiot for it. You gave perfectly reasonable solutions, 1 minute away, come on, and offered to pay for it too. Their fault for not even considering it. I don't know how they thought anyone would enjoy being cramped like that. Someone would have to sleep on the floor or couch, and I'd guess they would have expected you and your husband to offer up your own bed. Either they can respect your space or they can back off. Not the idiot. The best part is even your husband is backing you up saying no. You agreed to suck it up for the 2 days, but no way would I even want any family staying with me for over a week, even in a 2,500 square feet house, let alone 5 people in an 800 square foot apartment while you were trying to work. No way in hell. And what do you guys think? What did you think of the comments? What else would you say to OP? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Oh, and I hope you are enjoying the video so far. If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot for exposing my mom and sister? Okay, so, I, female, 14, have a sister, female, 16, who I'll call S, constantly steals from me and messes up my things. I've tried talking to my parents about it, but they shrug it off and say that sisters do things like that. It's gotten so bad that I have to hide or move valuable items out of the house, in fear that she'll break or steal them. 3 weeks ago, I received money from my aunt and friend for my birthday. I was excited because I've wanted AirPods for a while now and I finally had enough money to get them. I kept the money in a box and put it in my drawer. About a week ago, I wanted to go to the gas station, so I went to get the money, but when I checked it wasn't there. I went and asked my mom if she'd seen it, to which she replied yes. She told me that my sister went snooping in my room and wanted the money and my mom didn't have the heart to say no. So she let her take it. I went to my sister's room and demanded she gives me my money back. She told me that she already spent it and that I should have hidden it better if I didn't want it stolen. I was livid. I stormed to my room and stayed there for the rest of the day. 2 days ago, while out shopping with my aunt, she asked if I had gotten the AirPods that I had been wanting. I told her no, and that mom allowed us to take the money I was going to use to buy it. My aunt was furious and called my mom, confronting her about it. My aunt berated my mom and said I could stay the night with her. When I got home to pack my things, Mom was furious and threw money at me asking if I was happy now that I made us feel bad. I ignored her, grabbed my things, and left. While at my aunt's place, I received many nasty texts from family members saying I was in the wrong. My dad told me that he didn't agree with what my mom and S did, but I didn't have to expose them to my aunt. I've been feeling extremely guilty and I've been wondering if I was in the wrong. So am I the idiot? No, OP, you didn't do anything wrong. You are being robbed in your own home, and you have no responsible adult looking out for you in that regard. I'm glad you told your aunt and that someone said something and finally took your side, instead of letting go of the fact that you were robbed, in your own house, again. And screw your sister, your mother, and also your father. They know this is wrong and prefer to leave it under the rug instead of speaking the truth. And also screw the rest of your family, who are calling you names. You should suggest they take your sister to live with them and let her rob them in their own homes. I'm sorry for the shitty family you have, OP, that obviously favors your thief sister over you. Not the idiot, your sister is a thief and both of your parents are enablers. I'm glad you have an adult who is treating you well. My sister went snooping in my room and wanted the money and my mom didn't have the heart to say no. I am at a loss for words as to how much of an a-hole your mother is. Not the idiot. If they didn't want to get yelled at for it, they shouldn't have done it. Not the idiot. Good for you, that your aunt has taken you in. Your mom has clearly a favorite daughter and sadly it's not you. As long as your sister doesn't learn boundaries from your mom, she is going to continue and surely will have it hard in life when she has to learn she doesn't get everything she wants and there are actually consequences for her behavior. Your father knew of the behavior of S before and as well hasn't done anything. I bet he wouldn't have done something now again. He can't stand up to your mother and exposing this behavior was the only thing you could do, that they realize their acting is wrong. Not the idiot, your mom and sister just came in tied for first for a-hole of the day. Your sister knew you got birthday money, searched for it, and your mom allowed her to just take it? Also, your dad needs to search through their stuff to find his balls. You had every right to tell your awesome aunt the truth and should be rewarded for your honesty. If I were your aunt, I would buy your AirPods and tell us she can consider the theft her next birthday and Christmas presents. Not the idiot, they are stealing from you and emotionally abusing you. Don't go back. And what do you guys think of the comments? Do you agree with them? Don't forget to leave what you think down below. Am I the idiot for not letting my mom see her first grandchild's birth? Me and my mom were never close, she was abusive and neglectful. As soon as I moved out, I cut off all contact with her until I found out I was pregnant. My mom was the first person I called, and she immediately came to my house to congratulate me and give me presents. It was the first time in 5 years that she had been nice to me. We spent about 2 days together and then she had to go back home. She visited me almost every day of my pregnancy. She bought baby stuff, clothes for me, a pushchair for the baby, and even helped decorate the nursery. I was 6 months pregnant when I overheard my mom insulting me on the phone to my sister. Have you seen how much weight she's put on? I never put on that much weight when I was pregnant. She doesn't even know what she's doing, that kid will be in foster care before it can even walk. Oh my God. Her words stuck to me. I tried to hold back my tears as I walked past her. My fiancé came home from work and noticed how down I looked. I told him everything that my mom said and he was red with rage. When we went for our appointment to discuss our birthing plan, the doctor asked me who would be in the room with me. I obviously said my fiancé, but I had to think about my mom. Did she really deserve that honor? When the doctor asked me again, I told him my fiancé's mother could come. Everything was planned and on the day we went to the hospital, we didn't even tell my mom. The birth was painful, but I had the best people with me. Once it was all over, I had a couple hours alone with my fiancé and my son. I finally gained the courage to call my mom and tell her that the baby had arrived. I called her, and when she picked up and saw me holding my son, she was mortified. She was shouting at me down the phone, calling me every name under the sun, calling me ungrateful and a burden. I hung up the call, because I couldn't be bothered to deal with her BS. She came to visit me a few days later with my sisters, and I had a secret I had kept from her, because I knew she would freak once she found out. She held my son in her arms and asked, "What's his name?" My fiancé looked at me with fear in his eyes. "Michael," I replied. She stared at me blankly and yelled, "You named my grandson after the effing grandfather on Asher's side?" Asher is my fiancé. I kicked her out of my house. So am I the a-hole? OP, give us more info. She wanted me to name him Marshall, after her dad, but my fiancé has cancer and doesn't have long left, so we wanted to honor him by naming our son after him. Me and my fiancé agreed to not allow her to come to my wedding. We have cut her off for now, but she'll find her way back, she always does. Oh my God! What's wrong with your mother? It's your baby, you and your fiancé are the parents, the name of your son is your choice, not hers. Your mother can give her opinion, but nothing more. And unless Michael was the name of someone who had caused harm to you, her or something like that, there was no reason for her to have that reaction. No OP, I don't think you are the idiot. You are simply protecting yourself and your child. Your mother's comments about you, especially the ones to your sister, were uncalled for, especially during such a vulnerable time, like during a pregnancy. And yelling at you over your son's name was completely unnecessary. Does she have a problem with your fiancé or his family? Or is it about not having a say in the baby's name? Perhaps it's just her wanting to control things. Honestly, I don't know. But you were definitely not in the wrong here. You needed people who would support and comfort you during this vulnerable time, and unfortunately, your mother wasn't one of them. I understand the desire to have your mom in your life, but for the sake of you and your child, going no contact with her again might be the best choice for your family. And what do you think about this? What would you do if you were OP? Now let's read some comments. Not the idiot. You went 5 years with no contact and things were swell, right? Sounds like you need about 18 more years of no contact. Not the idiot. Yes, I agree that it warrants a lifetime of no contact. Now when Michael grows up, he can decide what he wants to do, but there's no real advantage to having someone in your life who thinks that because they're nice to you in front of you, they can have a nasty and abusive attitude in your back. You certainly don't deserve that, and rather deserve to have positive and loving people around you. I'm glad you have found a loving family with Asher and his family. It sounds like you have an amazing family and in-law family. Not the idiot. You've given her so many chances, and she doesn't deserve any of them. If you keep giving her chances, this will continue to happen and get worse as time goes on. She doesn't respect you as a person or a parent. Don't give her the opportunity to undermine you in front of your child. Cut her off and live your best life with your fiancé and son. Not the idiot, cut that shit of your life. She might play nice at times to your face, but she will continue sniveling behind your back. Based on what you're saying in your post, I honestly think your fiancé and kid are better off if you terminate contact. She's mean to you on your weight, who the F does that? Especially when pregnant. She is hurtful when it comes to naming the kid, doesn't have any say, especially after 5 years of no contact. F that shit, you don't need any of that. Hard not the idiot. Not the idiot. You don't have to allow her in the delivery room after she openly insulted you. It was your birth. Her yelling at you on the phone after you gave birth is insane. Then yelling at you over your son's name? You did nothing wrong, and congratulations. And what do you guys think of all this? Do you agree or disagree with the comments? Do you think OP's mother has any right to act like that? Or not? What other advice would you give OP? Please, don't forget to leave your comments down below. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot for not being understanding of my sister's trauma? This happened a few years ago, but I just wanted to get some insight because my family keeps bringing it up. A few years ago, my sister, who was 16 at the time, got into a car accident. She wasn't severely injured, just some cuts and a sprained wrist, but it was obviously very scary for her. She was the one driving and there was nobody else in the car. After that, she developed an intense fear of cars and driving that extended to others as well. She started having to take public transit to school, and every time one of my parents needed to use a car for anything, grocery shopping, appointments, etc., she would start sobbing and begging them not to get in a car, because she was scared they would get hurt. Eventually, my parents also stopped driving and would just do everything virtually or get food delivered. They both worked from home, so it wasn't a big deal. At the time, I was a freshman in college, and I really wanted my family to attend my first big theater performance of the year. However, my college is several hours away and it's pretty difficult to get to using public transportation, so my parents were planning to use a car to get there. However, my sister obviously refused to go because of the car fear, which was understandable. But, about a week before the performance, my parents informed me that they would no longer be attending the performance either, because my sister would scream and cry every time they brought it up. They said there would be other performances, so it didn't matter that they wouldn't go to this one. Yes, it matters a lot. I was pretty upset because it was my first leading role, and they had promised they'd be there to support me. I tried to find ways they could come using public transit, but the logistics were just too difficult, so I eventually just started begging them to use the car to come and that it was really important to me. They got upset with me and said I wasn't being understanding of my sister's trauma, and that I was being selfish. At that point I just gave up, but even now, years later, they still bring it up, and talk about how awful I was to them. And you should also bring it up how horrible they all were to you. So was I really the idiot? Edit, the performance was several months after the accident had happened. OP also gives more info in the comments. All of the clinics under our insurance didn't have any open telehealth options, and my sister obviously refused to go to any in-person therapy, so my parents eventually just decided she should get through it without therapy. She's better now, she can ride in a car without much fuss, but she still doesn't want to drive if she can help it. It's not that they were leaving her by herself that she had an issue with, it's that they were using a car to get there and she had trauma around cars. She wouldn't go to in-person appointments, we tried. So they just sort of gave up. I was going to ask if OP's sister had overcome her trauma by now, but I believe the answer is kinda off. No, OP, you're not the idiot, but your parents are. Not only because they didn't help your sister deal with her trauma the right way, since she definitely needed therapy at the time, but because they allowed her trauma to dominate their lives. Look, trauma is a serious thing, and it can be triggered by a lot of things, obvious or not to others, and if left untreated it can control the rest of a person's life, which is bad enough. But it's even worse when we end up doing the same thing to those around us, allowing them to be at the mercy of our fears. That's exactly what your sister did to your parents, and what's even worse is that they allowed it. I don't know if it was to appease your sister or because it was easier for them than dealing with the real issues, but they allowed her fear to dominate their lives too. As a result, you've suffered from this decision, OP. I'm sorry they didn't care or didn't care enough about how this affected your life. And if they still bring it up to this day, your reaction to this situation, it really must have shocked them. I think they also expected you to accept to be a hostage of your sister's trauma, and they were surprised when you said no. I'd like to say they still talk about it because they feel guilty about not being there for you, or for not searching for help for your sister sooner, but clearly not. Honestly, I'd normally have more sympathy for your parents, OP. Dealing with your sister's trauma isn't easy, but since they are still idiots to you until today, years later, I can't defend them. If it were me, I'd respond to them with the same words every time they called me an a-hole. And remind them how much of an a-holes they were to me. Some may say it's petty, but since they keep bringing it up, that's what I would do. And what do you guys think about this situation? What would you do if you were OP? What advice would you give her? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. And now, let's read the comments. Not the idiot, her and your parents are tough for letting an irrational fear dominate their and your lives. They need to get her in therapy and stop kowtowing to her demands, or it'll become a more entrenched thing over time. Not the idiot, sister needs therapy. Not the idiot. This is exactly right. OP, it may help to do some reading about PTSD and have your parents and sister do so too. Specifically, avoidance is a key factor that maintains the mental health impacts of trauma over time. Had your sister gotten therapy after the accident, she likely would have been encouraged to take small steps towards being able to ride in cars. Your family participating in the avoidance for so long likely made it harder to recover. They probably didn't know better, and sure, everyone was shaken up and doing the best they could, but they should now do some learning. This won't be the last difficult thing that happens, and this isn't a coping style that is likely to help. Not the idiot, and let me say, your sister's reaction is not normal after a minor car accident. It is not understandable that she refuses to get into a car and has screaming/crying fits when anyone else does. Yes, being in an accident is scary, however it should not be debilitating. Your parents should have put her in therapy immediately so she can deal with this instead of giving in to her unreasonable demands. Not the idiot, your parents are enabling your sister's trauma and stalling her recovery. They allowed it to adversely affect their other child's life, and even altered their own habits to accommodate her. She needed therapy and, I'm assuming, did not get it for her. They were totally in the wrong about this. I'm sorry it's still brought up, perhaps you should show them this thread. And what do you guys think of all this? Do you agree or disagree with the comments? Would you say anything else to OP? If so, don't forget to leave your comments below. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, go watch the video that is appearing on the screen right now, or click on one of our playlists that are in the description to watch more videos. Until next time.